It all kicks off in a gray, lifeless city, a pretty depressing place to call home. And in this lovely place, his boss calls him useless and threatens to fire our hero. Completely terrified, our protagonist can barely talk back to his superior. Meanwhile, his other co-workers and the boss just laugh at the situation. Walking back to his desk, Subai sighs, thinking about how much he hates his miserable life. But suddenly, something strange tears through the city's gray sky with a flash of red light. Inside the office, our hero seems to sense that something is very wrong outside, and that small crack begins to expand, shattering the sky itself like glass. Soon, everyone on the street is panicking, pointing at the sky with looks of pure terror. Because from that red hole, all sorts of bizarre creatures start raining down on the city. Our guy is frozen solid, unable to believe what he's seeing with his own two eyes. Outside, it's total chaos, with cars crashing and people running for their lives. One of those creatures, a giant skeleton, crushes a taxi with its sheer weight. The monster then lets out a terrifying roar, shattering the windows of a nearby building. However, in the midst of the panic, an elite squad arrives to deal with the threat. The squad leader warns Sujin to be careful, telling her this is no training drill. She gets the message and charges at the monster with her glowing blue daggers. Meanwhile, back in the office, all the employees are scrambling desperately to escape. And in the middle of the chaos, the boss shoves our hero, calling him useless yet again. Just as Subai hits the floor, a monster smashes through the window right in front of him. On top of that, several other creatures invade the building, wrecking everything in their path. But before the beast can attack, Sojin appears in a flash to save our guy. The white-haired girl then gets into a combat stance, ready with her blades. Then, with a flying kick, she lands a direct hit on the skeletal creature's skull. The monster turns to dust, and she tells the civilian to get out of there because the area isn't safe. Our protagonist is speechless and blushing, completely smitten with his savior. However, the danger isn't over yet, and the office is now infested with monsters. Even though she's outnumbered, Sujin prepares to face the horde of creatures. But one of the skeletons manages to catch her by surprise, piercing her shoulder. Another blade hits her from behind, leaving her severely wounded in the process. The girl spits up some red liquid, feeling the sharp pain from the wound in her body. Injured, she realizes she won't be able to handle all these monsters on her own. But Subai guides her so they can get out of there quickly. Together, they run for their lives and manage to get through an emergency exit. Once outside in an alley, Sujin asks our hero to hold the door shut. He supports her and says they need to find a safe place to hide. Our guy then helps her walk as she can barely stay on her feet. Right after, he rips a piece of his shirt to try and stop the bleeding. Hiding, the two look terrified towards the alley's entrance, as they heard something. One of the creatures finds them and lands right in front of them. The skeletal monster slowly approaches, cornering the two in the dead-end alley. But suddenly, time itself seems to stop, and strange numbers appear out of thin air. Our protagonist starts to cry, thinking his end has come and that he'll go out like a coward. However, his eyes begin to glow, and a voice says his soul has 100% compatibility. And right before him, a glowing magical book appears, leaving our hero in shock. The book reveals that the unique skill Subai has awakened is the Celestial Ledger. Our hero is confused, with absolutely no idea what is going on. He then stares at the magic book floating in front of him, trying to process it all. Suddenly, the book's pages start turning on their own as if they had a life of their own. And on them, Sujin's information appears, revealing her class as a shadow assassin. The book also shows that her vitality and mana are critically low. A moment later, a message asks if he wants to offer her a loan contract. At that moment, we see that time is almost back to normal. The alley takes on a sinister red aura, indicating that the danger is imminent. But our protagonist turns to Sujin and yells that he can help her get out of this mess. The girl, almost passing out, asks what he's talking about, not understanding his offer. Subai then offers to lend her his strength and vitality so she can win the fight. Just like that, a golden scroll and a magic quill pen pop into existence in front of them. Sojin is shocked by this and wonders if this is some kind of special ability. On the scroll, strange runes form the terms of this mysterious contract. The system screen shows the loan details: 100 extra vitality points and 150 extra mana for 3 minutes. And now our hero needs to set the interest rate that will be charged for this favor. Desperate, Subai says he'll take anything, and the system sets the interest at 5% of her experience points. He then quickly explains the terms to Sujin, who listens intently. Without hesitating, she accepts the offer and takes the golden quill to sign the contract. A golden aura surrounds her, and she feels the power flowing through her body, saying it's working. Her eyes glow with a blue light, and she feels completely recovered and much stronger. With her newfound strength, she dashes like a bolt of lightning toward the skeletal monsters, and with swift movements she slices through 2 of the skeletons at once with her daggers. Next, she lands a powerful blow on the larger monster's chest, shattering its bones. After the fight, a golden light leaves her body and goes straight into the Celestial Ledger. Subi levels up to level 2, and a shocked Sujin asks him what he really is. But the danger isn't over yet, and the city is in chaos with the giant rift in the sky. Our protagonist looks at his hand and then at the book, starting to understand his new power. and with a confident smirk, he seems to have found a new purpose in life. Our hero smiles confidently and says that he's her banker now. But Sojin questions him, wanting to know if that ability has a time limit. And right on cue, the contract's duration ends, and her golden aura vanishes. With the effect gone, the wound on her shoulder reopens completely. She then falls to her knees, feeling a pain that's even worse than before. Sabai explains that every loan has a due date, and reality always collects its price. After that, he helps her into an abandoned convenience store to take shelter. Inside, she demands answers, as she's never seen an awakened with a power like his. He then confesses that he doesn't know much either, since he just awakened less than 10 minutes ago. However, our guy holds up the book and states that he's a very fast learner. Sojin just stares at him, a little suspicious of his sudden burst of confidence. To understand things better, he starts fiddling with the book and opens his Assets tab. There, he discovers that his unique class is a level 2 Celestial Banker. The page also shows that he needs debt experience to level up, and that makes him wonder if he can only level up from the interest he collects from others. Sujin is confused by the banker class and says that shouldn't even exist. Meanwhile, outside, the apocalypse rages on with the city in ruins and a lone monster wandering about. She then explains that with the rupture, hunters with warrior or mage classes appeared, and that all skills consume the user's own mana. No one can just give their power to someone else. But our guy retorts that he didn't use mana but a completely new concept. He adds that he didn't give her power, he loaned it to her, two very different things. The girl is stunned by his explanation, unable to believe what she just heard. So to get a better handle on it, our hero decides to explore the skills tab in his book. There he finds out his only active skill is a level 1 contract creation. A moment later, the system informs him that he has 1 point to upgrade or unlock something. His options are to either improve his contracts or unlock asset analysis to see the value of things. He figures that to be a good banker, he first needs to know the value of his clients. So he spends his point, and the system confirms that asset analysis has been added. Our protagonist then looks at Sojin and thinks that she is an asset of extremely high value. And a system window pops up showing her entire growth potential as A+ rank. Subai analyzes her situation and says that a small loan won't fix such a serious wound. He then offers a full heal, but the price is 20% of all her experience for 1 month. And for a contract that big, our hero demands her daggers as collateral. Sojin hesitates for a moment, feeling the pain and gripping her weapon tightly, but with no other choice, she hands one of her daggers to our protagonist. A magical contract appears, and the dagger is stored in a dimensional vault inside the book. Our guy is satisfied, having secured his first high-value asset. Immediately after, a golden healing aura completely envelops the white-haired girl. And like magic, the wound on her shoulder vanishes without leaving a single scar. The golden energy not only heals her, but also seems to boost her base power, including her outfit and physique, if you know what I mean. She clenches her fist, feeling a strength she's never had before coursing through her veins. Impressed, she tells Subai that was way more than just a simple heal, because she feels much stronger than she has ever been in her entire life. Looking at her hand, she comments that her body feels like it's been completely remade. Completely shocked, Sujin asks him what exactly he did to her. Our hero explains that he doesn't heal, he invests in his clients. Sujin finds that line a bit generic, so he shows her the asset analysis. The system screen shows her previous status, a level 12 shadow assassin. And right after, the system displays that her strength, agility, and stamina have all increased. The optimization was a success, increasing the girl's potential value by 15%. Subai then says she has become a much more valuable asset and that his capital was well invested. But suddenly, the white-haired girl hears voices coming from outside the store. It was her squadmates who were searching for her in the area. The team's archer already had an energy arrow notched and ready for combat. Meanwhile, the squad leader shouts Sujin's name, asking for a response. Desperate, she asks our guy what she should tell her teammates. He tells her to be quiet and suggests she say she used a rare item to heal herself, and that he is just a lucky civilian she found in the middle of all the confusion. Just then, the two hunters burst into the convenience store with their weapons drawn. The leader is shocked to find Sujin standing and apparently without a scratch on her. He questions her, noticing she looks different and wants to know what happened, while she explains that she was injured in the battle but is fine now. The archer looks suspiciously at our hero, who has a terrified expression on his face. She asks who this guy is since she's never seen him before. Sujin holds up a crumpled wrapper and lies, saying she used a one-of-a-kind elixir of life to heal. The leader and the archer exchange a look, a bit skeptical of the story she just told. Our hero masks his fear as she explains that she protected him from the monsters outside. The archer then confronts her, saying she's never heard of an elixir that powerful, and she asks why she would protect a useless civilian, putting her own life at risk. Guess this girl didn't get the memo that protecting civilians was, the whole mission. But the squad leader cuts the argument short, saying the important thing is that she's alive. He then de-escalates the situation and says the explanations can wait for now. The leader turns to Subai and asks for his name, which he stammers out. He then says our guy owes his life to them and that he better not get in the way. The archer is still suspicious, thinking something is very wrong with this whole story. The leader wraps it up by telling them to stay in formation because they need to move out fast, and as they leave, our protagonist thinks that he just needs to keep pretending to be a scared civilian. As they walk, the group moves through a destroyed street under a red apocalyptic sky. But secretly, our hero analyzes the leader, Kang Dae, a strong guardian with A-rank potential. He also assesses the archer, Park Hana, a green-haired girl with A-rank potential. Our guy then cracks a smile, because while they see him as dead weight, he sees them as future clients. Way up high, the rift in the sky is still wide open, painting everything in a sinister red light. And from that hole, a horde of skeletal monsters keeps pouring down on the ruined city. Kang Dae then remarks that the mana density is rising, and the monsters just won't stop coming. Our hero, playing dumb, asks if this isn't just like the normal portals you see on TV. But the archer, Park Hana, quickly cuts him off, saying that normal portals are way more chill. Sojin then points and explains that this is a rupture, basically the apocalypse in slow motion. Right after, a monster shows up, and Hana gets ready to fire one of her energy arrows. However, the leader stops her, telling her to save the mana arrows and use her dagger instead. She obeys and charges forward, plunging her glowing blue blade into the skeleton's neck. Confused, Subai quietly asks why she doesn't just create the arrows with magic. Sujin then explains that magic isn't infinite and that everything in this world comes at a price. She shows him that she can materialize her magic dagger at any time, which is already pretty handy. She also explains that they have a dimensional inventory to store their gear. But creating ammo out of thin air drains a ton of mana, and if she overdoes it, she could even pass out. Finally, she says that for special ammo or repairs, they need actual raw materials. Our protagonist then realizes they need resources, a kind of fuel. Sujin explains that they use mana crystals dropped by defeated monsters. He then cracks a smile, realizing they have a basic economic cycle and are running low on stock. Shortly after, the group arrives at a metal warehouse which seems to be their hideout. The leader, Kang Dae, knocks on the door with a specific sequence of knocks that seems to be a code. Inside, the door's gears begin to turn, unlocking the way. And with a loud creak, the metal door slowly opens, revealing a sliver of light. But as soon as the door opens, a bunch of tools go flying as if they'd been tossed. Inside, a girl with pink hair and pigtails was busy fixing a piece of armor. She then lifts her safety goggles and smiles, her face a little smudged with grease. The girl gets super excited and shouts that they're finally back with a beaming smile. She runs and gives Sujin a tight hug, saying she was so worried about her, but then she pushes her away and asks how she's in one piece, since her vitals were critical. The leader ignores the heartfelt moment and asks Yuna for a report on their stock levels. Yuna's face instantly drops, showing that the situation is anything but good. The pink-haired girl looks pretty down as she delivers the bad news to the rest of the team about their situation. She tells the captain that they're deep in the red with only enough resources for 20 arrows and the shield being completely busted. On top of that, the monsters are getting stronger but are dropping lousy, low-quality crystals. Hana kicks a can in anger, frustrated because if they go out, they're toast without ammo, and if they stay, they'll starve. The leader realizes they're stuck between a rock and a hard place with no viable options. However, while everyone else is panicking, Subai's eyes glow blue, ready to size up his next investment. He focuses his attention on the little mechanic, who's staring at a holographic screen with a sad expression. The system reveals her name is Kim Yuna, a rare class mana artificer, level 8. But what really catches his eye is her main skill, which creates items with 20% more efficiency. Our boy instantly gets it. She's not just a mechanic, she's a literal money-printing machine. Her current status shows extreme anxiety, low mana, and most importantly, a critical lack of raw materials. Our protagonist understands that the problem isn't a lack of talent, but a lack of working capital. Across the room, Yuna finally spots our guy standing there in the corner. She points at him with a flushed face and asks who the handsome redhead is, thinking he's a new recruit. But Hana kills the mood instantly, saying he's just baggage and that they'll ditch him when they leave. The girl points at him and says that even though he looks weak, the new guy has really nice eyes. Subai just smiles and introduces himself, saying he's just someone who's very good with numbers. Yuna replies that math doesn't kill gargoyles, but she welcomes him to the workshop anyway. The mood quickly turns serious as the group gathers to analyze a holographic map of Seoul. The leader points to Gangnam Station, saying that Monster Nest is their only option. Hana immediately protests, yelling that going there without explosive arrows would be a straight-up suicide mission. But Kang Dae is firm, asking if they'd rather go down fighting or starve to death without weapons. Silence fills the room, as they all know their situation is practically impossible. The little mechanic hugs herself and cries, wishing she could craft items using less material. Tears stream down her grease-stained face, showing just how guilty she feels about everything. Sobbing, she apologizes, saying she's useless without crystals and is just dead weight. Hana puts a hand on her friend's shoulder and says that without her gear they'd have been done for ages ago. Then Sojin activates her daggers and confidently tells Yuna to fire up the forge. Now, the pink-haired girl wipes her tears and nods, putting her trust in her friend. Meanwhile, our hero watches it all unfold and notes that her emotional dependency is a critical vulnerability. Kang Dai analyzes the situation and sets up a defensive formation for the group. Our hero then thinks to himself that their whole system is flawed and unsustainable. He observes the leader and the archer, identifying them as the team's venture capital. And little Yuna is the production infrastructure, but she's at a standstill due to a lack of materials. Sabai concludes that they don't need a hero, they need a good investor. But he decides not to make his move just yet, as the value of his help will be much higher at the peak of their desperation. Meanwhile, the mechanic runs to a metal locker and hastily opens it. From it, she pulls out only 3 blue crystal arrows and 2 vials of red potion. Yuna hands the items to Hana and Kang Dae, saying it's all that's left in their reserves. The archer takes the arrows with determination, promising to make every shot count. The leader then assigns positions, with Sujin on the front line and Hana providing cover. And as for our guy, he's ordered to stay behind at the base. As the group gets ready to head out, the metal door begins to slowly open. Sojin walks over to Subai and whispers that he could solve all of this by giving them his mana. But our hero says he's a banker, not a charity. He waits for the market to demand a bailout. Sojin is furious at his response, unable to believe his attitude. She then turns her back and ignores him, frustrated that she can't do anything about it. Meanwhile, the rest of the group gets ready to leave the base and face the city. From the doorway, Yuna says goodbye with a heavy heart and asks them all to come back soon. Outside, Kang Dae raises his shield and leads the group through the ruined streets. However, our guy stayed behind at the base, watching the team walk away. Alone and worried, little Yuna clutches her wrench with a sad look in her eyes. Sabai seizes the opportunity and uses his ability to analyze the mechanic. The system then reveals a synergy between her skill and an investment of pure mana. Our protagonist realizes she can craft S-rank items using nothing but E-rank junk. Our guy's eyes light up with the business opportunity he's just spotted. And with a grin, he concludes that Yuna is his real gold mine in this place. Meanwhile, the squad reaches the sinister Gangnam Station, a nest of monsters. And in the darkness, several pairs of red eyes watch the hunters as they approach. The archer Hana draws her bow and warns that the monsters already know they're here. In response, the leader Kang Dae activates his taunt ability to draw the enemies in. Meanwhile, back at the base, our hero had simply watched the team leave for their mission. And the system updates his personal objective, which is now to acquire the mana artificer Kim Yuna. His strategy for this is quite simple: create a total supply dependency. With a smile, he thinks that his bank is about to open an unlimited line of credit, and the first down payment will be that girl's freedom.